What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horrorheads podcast. I am Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going all right for a Tuesday evening. It poured heavily for about 60 seconds, and now it's totally clear out. So it was odd. I was like, it really came down hard, and I was like, oh shit, and then it was done. So
Yeah, you need that water over there.
yeah, for real. Let's see. You could follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast or email us your love and hate at horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. Today we're going to talk about two brand new movies. We're going to talk about Until Dawn, which is the video game adaptation that came out on digital a couple weeks ago. And then we're going to talk about Sinners, the cinematic vampiric, what some would call masterpiece that released on digital today. Two very different movies. One of which I think we're going to have some controversial opinions on. The other one we will see. Let's see. I'm trying to think of because these are two movies. I don't know if we have a ton to say about them. Maybe we will. We'll see. So I saw a movie the other day. It was a movie from like 2020 called Slasherette Party.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. It's basically it's a co-ed bachelorette party. They go to a cabin in the woods and one by one get stalked by two different killers. Yeah, I mean, look, it was cheesy.
What's
low
wrong
budget.
with my favorite movie that you just described right there? That I'll probably got to buy a Blu-ray, DVD, 4K.
You know what, I actually think you would like it. I was a bit
I think I would, yeah.
Yeah. There's some nudity, there's some blood. Again, the effects are not that good. It's kind of dumb in a lot of parts. Ending didn't make a lot of sense, but look, it's mindless. I watched the entire thing, so I stuck with it. So that's saying something. Would I recommend it? I recommend it to you. I think you would like it. I think I saw it.
I'm all about this. I'm like writing that. I'm taking notes right now. What was it called?
Slasherette Party.
Slasherette Party. I'm not kidding. You guys could, if you listen closely, you could hear me typing because I don't want to forget this. This sounds like an amazing film that I would love. But would you see it?
I think I saw it on Prime.
Oh,
It was either on
Prime.
Prime or Tubi.
Okay.
It might be on both. But yeah, I mean, so that's what I watched. I haven't really seen a lot other than that. How about you? Have you seen anything recently?
I rewatched 825 Forest Road. I don't know if I mentioned that on this
No,
show
not yet.
yet. I'm actually a huge fan of this film. I think you would like it a lot. It's a great, great paranormal film. Eh, Shot really well for like such a low budget. Keeps you kind of guessing what's going on, but also some really creepy moments that kind of give me the chills at times, and I don't get that a lot. I watched it once when it first came out, I think, which was probably like a couple months ago, and then I think 2 weeks ago was like National Paranormal Day or something
Oh
like
shit.
that. And yeah, my wife told me about it. So as a penalty for giving me notification to that, I made her watch some paranormal films, and this was one of them. And it was scary. I mean, she looked scared. I definitely got some chills from it. It's different. I think it's a good film. There was a little bit of buzz about it when it first came out, so I think it holds up. I watched it twice already, and I think I would watch it again.
I'm glad you actually talked about it a bit because when I hear the title, I automatically assume it's found footage.
It's
And I
not
would
found
probably,
footage. It's
yeah, I would
not.
just,
Yeah.
that's what I assume for the title for some reason. I don't know
It
why.
does. It does, and I think it goes found footage for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it could take a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes a couple films go in that direction, but it wasn't enough to really change the tone of the mood of this film. It definitely keeps you locked in, and it keeps you really like wondering like what's going to happen. I think the story that they created was interesting enough, and then I think their effects and their paranormal activity was enough to be scary. So very rare, very very rare that I feel anything watching a paranormal film, and maybe that's why they're not like my favorite type of films, but this one for sure. I would say, I don't, am I gonna say it? I don't know. top paranormal film for me, like probably in a top five for me.
Wow.
I would say it's up there. It's up there with The Conjuring, I think, for me. I liked it a lot. So I recommend it. I think you would like it too. So, let me
Yeah,
know if you catch it.
I don't mind when there's a little bit of like found footage type, like because I'm like you where I like when they use technology, and that's
Yeah.
technology of we're filming shit like all the time.
Yeah.
What was it called again? 825.
825 Forest Road.
And where did you see it?
So I saw it on
Not legally?
Shutter. No, I
Okay.
saw it on Shutter. I think but you know what? A lot of Shutter stuff is being put out. They're getting distribution. So I think I saw a lot of Shutter on either Prime or Peacock. I
Yeah, I'm
forgot
seeing
where
some stuff on Prime,
it's
so I
yeah.
think they're starting
So
to
yeah,
cycle.
they're getting some sort of distribution. A lot of like their big films, like strictly Shutter films, and this was a Shutter film.
You
So
know what? I think Peacock too, because I think I saw Suitable Flesh, the one we
yeah,
hated
exactly.
on
Yeah,
Peacock the other day,
they're
and I was
they're
like,
definitely
ugh.
getting some sort of distro deal, which you could probably fill us in on that better than I can. If for the next episode you can let us know what's going on with Shudder, and if maybe they scored some sort of like new national or international deal for distribution. Because I saw a couple. I saw a Wounded Fawn out there. I forgot where I saw it, but just like the Apology. Again, off the platform. I have so many platforms,
Yeah.
and I'm usually a little something when I'm watching these things, so I can't tell you exactly which one it was. But yeah, you pick one, you could probably find it.
Yeah, I mean, just to sum it up really quick, how that works, like for original movies, they usually will stay on a service exclusively for anywhere from like 18 months to 36 months, and then it
Mm.
will go to other platforms, depends on what deal they have. So they have it for like a good year, year and a half, and then everybody else kind of gets it in like a second window. So that's kind of why you start seeing that stuff after like a
Mm.
couple years. You see it with everything basically. Like it starts someplace, ends up somewhere else, which
You know
is
what?
great because then you don't have to subscribe. It'll come eventually,
That
you'll get to see it.
That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of the films I mentioned were 2023, 2024, so that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
except for like Netflix. Netflix tends to not license out their movies, which is fine because their movies, their originals are usually shit. So I kind of
no,
don't
they're
mind that.
actually really awesome until the last 15
Oh yeah,
minutes.
right. The first I would say hour 15 minutes of a
This is the
Netflix
best film
original
you ever
horror
seen.
movie is really good. The last 15 to 20 minutes is usually complete dog shit. So you're right. They do start out very good and then they
It's
decide they don't feel like
it's like
ending
it's like they get to page 79 on like their
it.
script and they're like, it's blank. What do we do? I don't know.
Fuck
Let's
it.
just wing it. Let's just shoot for the next 15 minutes and see what we come up with. I think that's what they do because like there are so many great Netflix horror films out there that just fall off a cliff within the last 20 to 15 minutes, or they just don't stick the landing, which by that, I mean, they slip on a banana peel at the end and you watch this for like an hour and 20 minutes. You're like, I'm going to keep watching this for the rest of my life. And then it's like the dumbest thing on
Yeah.
earth that you couldn't even imagine. And you're like, I'm never going to watch this again.
Yeah, and it's funny because like a lot of times Jerry and I will like text throughout the movie, and I've definitely sent him not just for Netflix, but just movies in general. Like I'll be 45 minutes into a movie, and I'll be like, "This is amazing! You got to check it out." And then 20 minutes later, I'm like, "Oh yeah, never mind."
like disregard all that.
Forget
Like,
everything I said because I get excited. I'm like, "Wow, a movie I actually like, and this is
yeah.
actually cool." And then it's like, "Oh yeah, no, it sucks. It's a piece of shit." That's
I say it on this show a lot. There is a lot to be said about a horror film that could keep you locked in for an hour, and I will watch the first hour of a lot of films. Like some of my like top 10 films are just an hour film to me because after that it does kind of like go off on a tangent,
yeah,
and I really don't know why they went in the direction that they did, but it was so good that first hour and 10 minutes. And I'm like, how they mess it up? But you know what? Just watch the parts you like.
yeah.
We're in a digital age. I don't need to watch anything I don't want to watch anymore. I didn't rent it. I didn't do anything. It was essentially free. I'll just watch the hour that I like. And a lot of films films I watch are like that. So yeah, I get it, but sometimes the ending is so bad you can't even watch the first hour because you're like, it's stupid.
Yeah, if the ending is terrible, I usually just forget about the film in general. But yeah, I have a lot of films like that where I will just put it on and I know I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to turn it off at some point. And sometimes it's just I put on a movie late. I'm just like, I know I'm probably
hmm
going to bed soon. I got to watch something. I like how this movie starts. I'm going to flow with it. And then if I how far I get is how far I get. So yeah, I do the same thing. And like you said, it's like if I'm not feeling something, I'm turning it off
Just
once I've
turn that
seen it.
shit
So,
off, man.
I'll try it again another time.
Hell yeah.
All right, so let's before we get to the two movies we're going to talk about
Mm.
tonight, we do something on this show that is not unique, but you don't see it on a lot of podcasts, and that is we drink.
What?
And
Who does?
we drink bourbon and whiskey on this show, and we're about to do that now. So, what I have here tonight is something called Gallagher's. It is Irish whiskey. It
Wow.
was under $20, and what I will say
Sounds like it.
is okay, so here's the thing. I think it was Saturday or Friday night. I forget which night it was, and I was gonna spend the night at home watching movies.
hmm
And I had a few drinks, and actually, it turns out I had a lot of drinks. And for the first time in probably a year, maybe 2 years, the next day I threw up and I
Oh,
threw up hard. And I don't know if it's
damn.
if it's this cheap whiskey or if it's the fact that I drank more than normal or the fact that it was like 95 degrees here. But yeah, I like at like noon the next day, I like was puking and it was a mess. And that hasn't happened in a while. So luckily this bottle is almost done.
Damn.
So I don't think I'm gonna
Been
replicate that. But yeah.
been puke free since 2013 and it's all over now.
It's been a while.
All
I
because of
rarely
the what's it called? Cooligans? Was it Calligans? What's it called?
Gallagher's.
Calligans. Like
And like
Gallagher's.
I get hungover, trust me. I
Hennigan's.
get I get terrible hangovers, but I almost never throw up.
Yeah.
And this time I did, and it sucked.
Well, we,
So now
we
I'm
all we
gonna
all make mistakes, and there's
I'm
nothing
gonna
more fiery than a whiskey throw up. But yeah, I
all
feel
right.
that.
So I'm gonna pour some of this Gallagher's. What do you have here tonight?
Man, you're going really cheap, and I'm going like really over the top. I'm
Oh
unhinged the
shit.
last few episodes,
Damn.
so I got the Bullet, I got the Ballon Bond
Can you show us again?
edition. Yep, this is the Ballon Bond edition, and it's a little expensive. I think it's around that 70 to $80 mark. I tried it, so that's why there's a little bit missing from the bottle, but it's a serious bourbon, 100 proof.
Woo!
A lot of things that go into bottle and bond. There's a lot of like prerequisites to actually be able to call it that. A few things which are common, which would be like one distillery. It needs to be aged at least 4 years. It has to be in a federal warehouse, so the government actually has to have oversight to what's going on
Oh shit.
in this warehouse. And the best thing here, as I'm hitting the highlight, is that it has to be at least 100 proof.
Okay.
So, and it does meet all those requirements. So I'm about to take a
Let me
sip
see that
and
color.
oh
It
yeah,
looks
it's
very
nice.
different than Bullet, like because Bullet's
Yeah,
usually a lot like more yellow. This looks more like
Yeah,
brown.
this has a little more of a golden brown color, maybe that caramel color.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're really noticing in there is my new ice that I've been talking to you about for like 3 days now. And I don't want to go off on a tangent on this podcast, but people, I'm kind of like stuck on ice right now. I just want like beautiful ice in my drinks, whether it's just a water, an iced tea, or a bourbon or any cocktail. I just want like awesome clear ice, and I went out and bought some. I committed to it, and I need to figure out how to keep it going. So
Yeah, that is some clear ice. And
that
I
is
forgot to
cool.
mention it at the top, but we do have video of this podcast on YouTube that you can
Hmm.
find if you want to kind of see how clear Jerry's ice is. So let's cheers. Yeah, let's cheers to
Cheers.
that. My ice
Woo.
is not as clear,
Not
but it
clear.
is fine.
Cheers.
Mm. Okay, so even though this Gallagher's made me throw up painfully, I do like it. It tastes
Oh,
very
really?
similar.
Nice.
Yeah, it tastes very
Okay.
similar to the Proper 12 that we had a
Oh,
few
I love
episodes
that. Yeah, I
ago,
love it. Okay.
where I taste a little chocolatey,
Mm,
which I really like. I love that flavor
mm.
in whiskey and bourbon. It is very smooth. This is very drinkable. And I would say like out of the Irish whiskeys, like a lot, I buy Jameson all the time just because it's, affordable. I am probably I'm gonna either switch to this or like a proper 12 because it is a little cheaper, a couple dollars cheaper, and I like it better.
Mm.
Yeah, this is a really shockingly, it's really good.
Hey man,
And I could
sometimes
see why I drank almost the whole bottle that
you
night.
know, there's sometimes nothing better than kind of like a dive bar-y kind of house whiskey where you get like a Budweiser and like a shot of like some unknown whiskey, and it's probably something like that. But a lot of times they can be good, and definitely a lot of the ones you mentioned are excellent. And I'm gonna look for that one now because I like those tastes. And I just had Jameson the other night when I went out, so I'm into that. This is fantastic. Let me take another sip here. This is good.
I hear that ice.
Yeah,
That ice sounds good.
and since I've been watching some of these videos on YouTube of us podcasting, I decided I hate the way I look when I'm tasting like bourbon because I make a lot of weird mouth movements, but it's really how I absorb the bourbon. But I'm getting a lot of flavor from this, and I'm getting some berry flavors, Rich. I'm
Really?
getting something. I can't identify it. It's some sort of dark berry. I don't know if it's a blackberry or something like that. I'm getting that. I'm getting that sweetness, some richness, maybe from some vanilla, and then like a lot of heat, like at the end from that 100 proof. And one more second. I mean, it just comes and goes so fast. Like I took that sip, it's burning, it's gone. Like
Wow.
it's just really quick, but it feels really nice. I'm into this. I recommend the Bullet Bottle and Bond.
And I'm sorry, did you say what it priced at?
I think it's around 70 to 80. I
Okay.
forgot what I paid for it. I was bowling out that day. I bought some
Yeah, yeah.
blends and a couple of other high-end bourbons that day. So I know my bill was extremely high, and I didn't. But and I went there for I actually just wanted to get some basic Maker's Mark. That's why I went to the liquor store. So I have like this um, holder that holds like a wooden holder display that holds Maker's Mark and only holds a certain size. So I'm like, I'm running out. Don't want to get rid of the display. I'm just going to replace it. That was my intent. Spend $27 on a bourbon. So I went and I grabbed the Maker's Mark. And then when I'm standing there, I saw this awesome black and gold
Oh yeah, it looks
label.
super dope.
And I was like, what the hell is that? I haven't seen this yet. And that was the Ball and Bonds. And then when I was looking a little more, over in the corner, they had one bottle left of Blanton's, which in New York usually goes for around 180 to $200 a bottle. But
Wait, for
this one,
Blanton's?
Blanton's, yes, in New
Wow,
York.
here it's like 70, 80.
No, not even close. No, it's 180
Wow.
to $200. This one actually had a price tag on it for 120. I could not resist. I bought that shit right away. So, yeah, no, Blanton's is very, very expensive in New York. I don't know why.
Yeah, I haven't bought it in a while, but I think the last time I bought it, it was like 70, 80, or last time I was gonna buy it. I've been trying to focus on buying more affordable stuff just
Yeah, I
because
feel that.
I go through a lot of it. But yeah, no, and one thing about makers, and you probably know this, I didn't know this. The red wax on the top
Yeah.
that you open it, that's like hand done. People hand dip
Oh
those one
yeah.
by
Yeah,
one.
that's
I didn't know
awesome. Yeah.
that, and I was like, holy shit! Like they actually have people doing that, which probably don't need to, but it's kind of cool that they do.
Yeah, well, when I retire, I mean, now you know my job. I mean, like
Just
just get
dip
me in there.
bottles all day. Take a
Like
sip, dip, sip and
just
dip.
like I don't even like do you even have to pay me just at the end of the week? You just give me like a case and be like, all right, Jerry's covered. He's good. He's got that. Yeah, no, I love that aspect of makers. And again, it's a definitely a top bourbon to me. I have like some collectors Nick's makers as well, and I didn't want to open it, because I don't know how rare it is or if it's going to be rare. So it felt like it was a very distinct New York thing. So I was like, that's the only bottle I have. I'm like, I need another one. So that's why I went and bought some more makers. Not drinking it tonight. I'm drinking this bullet, but yeah, love makers. It's a classic.
All right, sounds good. So let's talk about the
Yeah.
movies we want to talk about tonight. So we're going to talk about Until Dawn a little bit later, but let's start with Sinners,
Word.
which look, every year or maybe twice a year, there's always one movie that's in the horror genre that gets incredibly hyped up, where
Yeah.
it's all you hear about, and all you hear about is how it's everybody's favorite movie of the year, best movie in a long time, blah blah blah. And usually those movies you and I usually do not like. And I'll give it an example. Hereditary is one. Super hyped up that year. I have tried to watch that movie 3 times. I cannot get through it. I don't get it. This movie is probably no different, where it is really hyped up. I've heard mostly nothing but amazing things about it, and from people that I wouldn't think would like this kind of movie. They're like really like, no, it's not good. You gotta see it. You gotta see it. Movie crushed it at the box office. One of the biggest kind of original horror movies probably of all time in the box office. Like
Really?
definitely, yeah. I mean, I think it made like 300 million, something crazy. Um, and did really well. So I'll give the plot of it really quick. In the 1930s, trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers Smoke and Stack return to their hometown in Mississippi to start over, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back, and
Mm.
that evil is a bunch of vampires who basically want to take over the entire town, very similar to like a Salem's Lot. Kind of, I would say this movie's like Salem's Lot mixed with From Dusk Till Dawn,
Dust till
mixed with
dawn.
some kind of
Yeah.
like really heavy drama. It's directed by Ryan Coogler, who's a big name. I believe Black Panther and
Hmm.
Creed and some other films.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan plays two roles, which I'm gonna say kind of really it's one of the things that hurt the movie for me. And what I will say is I have no problem with Michael B. Jordan. I think he's fine. I think he's a good actor. But they had him play two twin brothers, and I think you and I were talking about this.
Yeah.
They both look exactly the same. And I know they're twins, but they have like the same facial hair. They dress exactly the same. And I know people are telling me, no, there's like all of these subtle nuances that they have, blah, blah, blah. I'll be honest, I'm not watching this for the first time to pick up on subtle nuances. I was
No.
confused and I had no idea who was who. They both, to me anyway, talk exactly the same. So throughout the movie, I had no idea about either of these characters, who they were, which really took me out of it because I kept trying to think, wait, which one is this one? And does it matter which one it is? Like, like, so I think that was kind of like a miss. I feel like if you're going to have an actor play two roles, they have to be played very different, not subtly different. And I would say, I think I need to watch this movie again because I think I missed a lot of it. And I was having discussions about this movie with a few people, and they were kind of explaining stuff to me that I didn't understand, but I was still like, wait, how'd you even get that? Like, I didn't get that. So, yeah, this one, ah, man, I really wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it, but I kind of came away really bored and just like, I don't get it. I don't get the hype, and I kind of wish we had a guest on for this episode to tell me like what they loved about it so much. Like that's what I really kind of want to know. Like, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm not saying that. There's definitely really good things about it. It's really cinematic.
Oh
It's
yeah.
shot
Oh yeah.
really well. If
Beautifully.
you like the music, like I don't really care for blues or bluegrass music. I kind of hate that kind of music. If you like that, it's great because it's peppered throughout. And I think they did a good job of setting up the time period, like 1930s Mississippi. Like, I think they did a really good job there, but that didn't make it an interesting movie for me. So, let's get into it. Like, and I know you watched it before me, and
Yeah.
probably had similar feelings. So, I'd love to know kind of like what you thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, when this film opens up, I'm like, my first thought is this cinematography is amazing. I'm like, it's shot beautifully, and that was my first impression, and it really locked me in almost immediately just by like the look and the coloring and feel of this film. You're right; it actually does makes you feel like you're watching something from the 1920s and 30s and stuff like that. Like they really got all the set pieces right, the costuming, all that was absolutely perfect. That was my first impression. My second impression is when's the fucking horror coming? You know, it's it there's no way that anyone would pick up on all these nuances of this film because in the first half hour they introduced 10 to 15 different characters, and I have no idea which characters are the important ones, which ones I should be locking into. And I took the names and the characters of, like, say, like the most important ones, but I did that after I watched the film. While I was watching the film, I'm like, who's this now? I'm like, do I need to pay it? Like, is this a star? Is this person going to be throughout the whole film? Is this a B character? Is this a C character? There's really no way to determine that. So now I'm just confused, trying to figure out like who all these characters are. Michael B. Jordan, I like him. You know, I have no problems with Michael B. Jordan. I actually kind of like him a lot, but I don't think he pulled off playing these two roles. That's a hard thing to do. At least give someone like a goatee and a beard,
Yeah,
or like,
or just dress
or have
different.
them
Yeah.
talk or act different. It was really, really hard to pick up the nuances and the differences. Really, the only way I was able to tell which character was which was by who they were communicating with and like which woman that they were with. That's really all I could figure out. Like if they're with like Annie or Mary, the Hilly Steinfeld character. That was really the only way I knew like which one it was, and it was too weird. And honestly, this film clocks in over 2 hours. My God, I was so scared that by the time everything unfolded and the action started happening, that it was going to be too late. It was going to be too late for me to like get excited about this film. And I'm going to say, unfortunately, that's what happened. By
Yeah,
the
that's what
time
happened to me
everything
too.
happened,
Yeah, it's like an hour and 10 really before the big the vampires kind of start making their presence really known. And look, I like movies that are multi-genre, and I don't mean like multi-tone. I mean like they start off one way and then there's like a shift and all of a sudden it's like a horror movie. Like I could get into that. Like I could get
I
into the
can. Yeah.
first half of it being a drama, but that first hour was just like you said, it was confusing, it was boring, there's too many characters. And even like speaking of what you're saying, like I kind of did that too, where I was like, okay, if they're talking to Mary, it's this one, and I get and their names also Smoke and Stack. It's like it's so
It's very
similar.
close.
But
Yeah.
and there's even a scene where Mary goes to seduce one of them, and I didn't understand that she was seducing the other twin, like not the one she had. Like
Yeah.
I didn't
Yep.
get that, like because I was so confused because I was doing what
Which
you
like the
were
same
doing.
fucking guy. Like you're
Yeah,
like, it's the same guy. How
I
do I
couldn't
know?
tell,
Yeah.
and it really ruined it for me. And I was the same way where I was like, you kind of set it up for me and said, look, it's gonna be very slow in the beginning, and yeah, by the time like any of the cool shit happened, I was already checked out. I was like, I don't even give a shit anymore. And I will say that like that one like once the vampires kind of come in, the one guy that played the villain Remick, I thought was really
Yeah.
good, and I liked him. And that kind of really when the movie kind of picks up is when he kind of gets involved. But again, too little, too late for me. I was like, I'm never gonna watch this movie again because I'm not gonna sit through that first hour and 10 minutes, and I'm also not gonna skip to like the vampire ship because then it's like, what do I even care? I'll just watch another movie.
Yeah, I'm going to say for sure, for an hour and 10 minutes, this was a good film. But unfortunately, I'm watching it through a different lens. I'm watching through the lens that this is going to be a horror film.
Right.
And I kept waiting for like for that horror film to start. And I'm like, this is a fantastic drama. I'm like, I don't care what happens. I'm like, I'm into this story. Honestly, when they shifted into vampires, I was really let down because I went into this completely blind. I didn't know the direction was going to be vampires. So when the vampire, like there was that little hint, like maybe like 30, 40 minutes in, there was like a little, excuse me, a little hint when Bert died. I wasn't quite sure if he was a zombie, a vampire, or what he was. I'm like, all right, but something weird is going on here. So I know that they're setting up the plot for something to happen. So now I'm just waiting for it. And then when it actually unfolds and it's vampires, it was honestly the most generic vampire film I've ever seen in my entire life, relying on every trope and every single thing that I've seen about vampires in every single vampire film for the last 50 years. You got holy water, you got garlic, you got the daylight, you got the fangs. They didn't introduce not one new concept to the vampire genre outside of the usual tropes. And I'm like, this is stupid. I'm like, I watched this for like an hour and 40 minutes to basically see From Dusk Till Dawn, which I saw in 1996. You know, it was the same shit. It was the same shit, except they just tried to make it more interesting by making like a period piece in the 1920s. And there were things I did enjoy about that, but there are a lot of things that took me out of it that I think a lot of people loved. And I'll just set you up and say the musical things and the singing scenes didn't work for me at all.
Yeah, I thought those scenes were well shot. And I think there's four different really long music sequences, mostly featuring dancing. And it's like, look, if you do, here's my thing on it. If it was one, I could get into that because like that's kind of cool and
Yeah.
kind of different, but it was a lot. It just felt like, you know what? Here's the thing. And like I said earlier, I like when movies can start one way and then shift and feel like a kind of a different movie. But this felt like four or five different movies that like none of which connected properly for me. Like I felt like, okay, you have this kind of period drama, which I know you said was great to me, wasn't really that interesting.
I
Could have
think it
been
was,
more
yeah, I
interesting.
think it was
Like I
interesting
think
to
if
try and start a
I
juke
like the
joint
idea,
and
yeah, like I
yeah,
like the
there
idea
were
that they're
things.
starting to they're trying to start a club and then you have like the white Ku Klux Klan members
Yep.
that are gonna like shut them down. And if they would have kind of kept that, like, and that was the whole thing, then maybe I could have got into it. But because it kind of like again shifts to something completely different and then shifts back to that, it felt like a whole nother movie. And just to kind of get into it, so like, okay, you have this period drama, which is I guess kind of interesting, kind of mysterious, whatever. Then you have maybe 20 to 30 minutes of like vampire shit. Then you have 20 minutes basically where Michael B. Jordan turns into Rambo and he like takes out 20
Yeah, it
different
was very strange.
KK guys with like machine guns and grenades. It was like it was a bit much. Like it was ridiculous like to me. Like I could have dealt with him going and like taking out like a bunch of clan members and like getting violent, but it was like cartoon. Like it was like how is he again killing 20 people and he's grenades? It was silly. And then there's like, and then so that's like the second ending. And then there was like another ending that was like, I guess, like more comedic or lighthearted. Like, I didn't even get the final ending of the movie where, again, it's 50 years later and like
Yeah.
one of the vampires who you thought was dead is like still alive. And then he goes to see this guy. And it was like, just end already. So like it felt like all of these different things. Oh, and interspersed within all that, there's like four different music videos. You
Yeah.
know? So it's like
It's
it was so all over the place, and maybe that's what people liked about it. I did not. It took me out of it too
it
much. I'm like, what am I
really took
watching?
me out of it. Like that first real long one with Sammy when he was performing and it went through like all the different decades
That
of
confused me. Like I had no
like
idea what was
yeah, of
happening.
like I guess it was you know, blues music and excuse me. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me and
And what
where
you're
it could
describing is there's like basically people in the club are dancing to this blues music, and then all of a sudden you see like a geisha dancing, and then you see
yeah.
some dude with like a flying V guitar rocking out. And someone explained it to me and said that one of the people was able to see like their ancestors or see into the future, and they saw like it was like a vision of like their relatives or something. And I didn't get that. I was like, oh, okay,
Mm.
I guess. But apparently, yeah, one of the characters had some kind of second sight and could see this, and I didn't get that at all. But that's what someone explained it to me as. So
I mean, maybe Annie, who was the witch. I don't know. She was like that pseudo
yeah,
kind of like witch.
maybe.
I don't know. I don't know why they were showing me this POV and going through these different decades
It
of
didn't make sense.
music. But what I did know is that for the first few minutes, I was like, ah, all right, cool. And then the second few minutes, I'm like, all right. And then the next 10 minutes, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? I'm like, seriously, I'm sorry, horror fans. I'm like, but seriously, what the fuck? Like when you're watching a horror film and for 20 minutes, there's like this weird musical dance scene with this weird singing and horror fans, you're into that? This is your this is what you're
Yeah.
into, you know? Like I'm a horror fan. I mean, I could get into jazz, I could get into blues, but it just didn't work for me at all. It just felt like it was placed into this film to make it kind of like artistic, and it didn't come off artistic. It came off out of place
So
to me
one
personally.
thing I'll say about that really quick, and I'm not saying that it works for me. It didn't work, as I said. So I had to go to this like work thing, and like they played basically all of the upcoming movies and had people
Yeah.
speak about their movies. And Ryan
Okay.
Coogler spoke briefly about this movie, and the
Okay.
main thing he kept saying about when he was describing the movie is he said it's like a love letter to the blues, and that was the point of the movie. Was he wanted it to be the music to be very prominent,
I'm into that.
so yeah, but like you said, it has to be
Yeah, it
entertaining,
has to be a horror film,
and
you
to me, it was
know.
entertaining. Yeah, and like look, I don't know, man.
You made a vampire film, man. It's not even a horror film. It's not even like an elevated like A24 kind of film. Like believe dude, I like the blues. I have some blues records literally right here, right there. You know what I'm saying? I got some BB King and shit, you know. I'm into that. I had no problems with the music. It was just strangely out of place. And also the dance scenes are just really out of place in this film, and it just feels like they were interjected. It's like someone was having a conversation about one thing, and then that guy comes over and just starts talking about something else. And that's exactly what it felt like when I was watching this film. I'm watching this film. I like what I'm watching. And then someone came in and just pushed that out of the way and hit me with this. And now I'm watching this, and it took up a considerable amount of time, and I just wasn't into it. And look, there's a lot of people out there that would call me a contrarian. They would call me a hater and things like that. This is why
Yeah.
I'm a horror fan. Was this a great horror film? It's not. It's not. I'm sorry. It's not. Was the acting great? Of course it
Yep.
was.
Agreed.
Was the cast great? Of course it was. The music was good. Cinematography was good. But that doesn't make like all the parts need to equal a great film. You know, you can't just have like parts that are so separate and that you're like, oh, this is cool, that's cool, that's cool. That doesn't make it a cool film. It has to all come together and be a good film. And in its essence, this was a shitty vampire film that was the quality of From Dusk Till Dawn. I'm going to say it. It was. It was From Dusk Till Dawn. The setup was the same. It was the same exact setup, no difference, except it took place in the 1920s.
Yeah, so it's like it's a drama, it's a vampire movie, it's an action movie, and it's a bunch of music videos. It's I would say it's not a good vampire movie. It's not a good action movie. Whether it's a good drama or not, subjective. I'm gonna say no. And it's I guess a couple of decent music videos. That's kind of what it is. But it's not like none of these elements are like kind of good on their own because like it's just none of these things. So yeah, I just I don't get the appeal other than people just fall into the
Is it
hype or like I
It's
don't
exciting that
understand.
Michael B. Jordan is in a horror film. That's exciting. I'm not going to say it's not to have a star
I agree.
of that caliber in a horror film. It was probably just as exciting as when George Clooney was in From Dusk Till Dawn. It's like, what the hell is this amazing actor doing in this film? And that makes you like buy into it a little bit more. It just didn't just the parts didn't come together for me enough in this particular film for me to say I think it was good. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's
And
just I
yeah,
I did want to like it too. I feel like you. I did want to
I
like
really
it,
did. I really
and
did.
there was so many things to like about it. But we're the horror heads, and we're reviewing horror films. And would I put this as a top horror film? No, I can't. I can't do it. And if you're going to tell me that you're going to watch this back to back with something like Nightmare on Elm Street and The Conjuring and The Omen, I think you're lying. I think you're lying to yourself, because it doesn't stand next to them. I thought like when it got to the vampire stuff, it felt like that's where it got really cheap. I thought the costuming for the vampires was lame. I didn't think the vampires looked good. I thought their fangs looked like those fangs you buy like from like the Halloween shop. You just put them in. I think I had them in sixth grade. I'm like, oh, a vampire. It's like that's what it looked like. Like it didn't look like great makeup for the vampires. So I'm like, did they love the vampires? Was that the like you're telling me this is a blues film, but like why did you include vampires? There are people that love vampires. There are people that are obsessed with vampires, and you let them down by not doing the work on the vampire side. Personally, that's what I feel. I mean, I don't know.
And I'll tell you there's one thing about this movie too. There's a few things obviously that I've said before that I don't like, but they really, and again, like I said, there's three endings, and
Yeah.
they really fucking banana peeled that first ending. I'm gonna each ending is separate because it becomes a different movie after that. It's like a whole nother storyline that kind of happens. So Remick, the head vampire. Now,
Hmm.
what we learn about these vampires is they kind of are communal, where they kind of share one mind, but however, Remick, I guess, is the main bad, and if he
I'm the
gets killed,
leader.
they
Yeah.
all get killed, right? So he has Sammy, who is like the guitar player, kind of the cousin of both Michael B. Jordan's. He has him. He's holding them. They're in the middle of I don't know if the ocean or a lake. They're in the middle of
It
a
was like a
body of
lake. Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
They're in the middle of a body of water. Remick is kind of holding Sammy by the throat. He gives a fucking long ass speech. All the vampires are kind of on shore. And before Remick, after he's done with his speech, gets ready to kill Sammy, and then from out of nowhere, one of the Michael B. Jordans, stabs him in like the back. And I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this, but like it was so stupid, and I hate that ending where like
Yeah.
someone like, and it's like how did he, number one, sneak up in water
In water,
on
all
this
the
guy?
vampires are watching.
None
Yeah.
of them saw this, and he just
Yep.
kind of, and also at this point, we kind of thought
Banana
Michael B.
peel.
Jordan was like fighting somebody else. Like, how did he kind of go from fighting himself, sneak out of all of this shit, get around all the vampires, and get there just in time? It was a banana peel. And again, I just describe it again what a banana peel is. It's when you're watching a cartoon and like the Elmer Fudd is chasing Bugs Bunny, and he just happens to slip on a banana peel, and that's how Bugs Bunny gets away.
Gets
And that's
away.
what happened here. It was
Easy
so
out.
stupid. It's like, and that kills all the vampires basically,
Yeah.
and Michael B. Jordan saves the day. It was like, come on, you couldn't have thought of something better than
Couldn't think
this?
of
Like,
anything better. And I thought that was like a weird kind of baptism scene as
yeah,
well. Like that
that's
that
what I
was
thought they
just
were doing.
and it was just going on for like whatever the amount of time that scene took, it should have been half. Because like I'm like, "Oh, all right, this is again like I'm letting everyone into my mind. I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm like, all right, what are we doing now? It's like, are you still talking? Like, what the fuck are we
Okay,
talking about? Can
so
we shut up? Like, let's end the scene,
I'm
Like,
gonna
this is
stop
my
you.
mind. That's my mind.
So I'm gonna stop you there because I feel the same exact way. And what happened to me was that scene went on for so long with the talking, I zoned
Hmm.
out and I completely missed
You missed,
him
you
getting
missed it.
stabbed, and I had to rewind it because I was just like, wait. He's dead now.
No
Like
way,
I
no
don't know if
way,
I don't know if
no
I went
way,
to my
no way,
phone.
dude.
I
Oh my God.
disassociated. Something
Oh
happened
my
where
God,
I
dude.
missed it.
I
I
can't believe
I
you just said that. I missed it too.
I totally had to.
I rewound it. I had to rewind it because I'm like, what? All the vampires are dead. I'm like, what the hell? Like,
Oh,
I agree 100%. The same exact thing happened to me, and I
I
had to
missed it. I
rewind it
missed it because he was
because I'm
talking too
like,
long.
why are all the vampires dead all of a sudden?
I
I'm
can't
like,
believe that same thing
was it
happened.
the daylight? Was it like what happened? I'm like, I must have missed something serious, and then I was like, oh, that that's the answer. That's the answer to all this. That's what saved the night. It was bad. Like I said, they went like super cheese on the vampire aspects, which this is being touted as a horror film, not a blues film, a horror film. And I'm going to judge it like a horror film. You know, if you want honest reviews, I'm not going to say the things that all the critics and everyone else is going to say. I'm not going to buy into it. I want to know how I feel about the film and how it made me feel. And this just didn't hit the mark, you know. It just didn't hit the mark. It shouldn't be on anyone's list for best horror film because it wasn't. It wasn't a great horror film. It was a 2.5 hour long drama with some horror elements because I don't even know why they added that in. I think that was the worst part of the film.
Yeah,
All the vampire stuff was the worst part of the film, I thought.
and you know the other thing that I missed because there's just so much talking and I got so bored. They make a big thing about how the vampires can't enter this club
Yeah, yeah.
without being invited in, and that's how the people stay safe.
Standard
And so,
trope, you
but
know.
fine, I'm fine with it. And then I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden, all the vampires are like in fighting. I'm like, wait, how'd they get in?
How they get
I
in, yeah.
completely missed that someone actually invited them in
Right,
because
man.
I just stopped paying attention, and it sucks because like and like look when we're especially like when I'm watching a movie normal, I do tend to zone in and out. But when we're doing something for the show, I do tend to really try extra hard to pay attention. Like I put my phone down other than to take
Oh
notes.
yeah.
Like I'm kind of trying to be locked in. And even as hard as I tried to be locked in, I missed very key plot points because it just like took forever to get there. So
I
yeah,
did
bummer, man,
everything.
bummer.
I did everything to give this film every single potential to be a great film for me. I watched it alone. I watched it in the dark. I had my phone on the other side of the room. I had my surround sound on. I had everything going that would keep me locked into this film and to make sure that I caught every nuance, every element of this film. I didn't want any light hazing out any of the cinematography. I made sure I did everything to make sure that this film would represent itself as good as it could in my house while I was watching it, and it just didn't work. And I wanted it to, you know.
No,
I did,
I
you know.
wish
I
you
bought the
I
hype. I bought the hype, you know. I'm
yeah.
like, oh, I can't wait to see this. I was at a I was at happy hour like 2 days before I watched this film, and a few of the people there know that I do a podcast, so they were just talking about like the podcast and stuff like that. They're like, "Oh, did you watch Sinners yet?" And I'm like, "No, bro." I'm like, it's going to be the next episode. And they're like, oh, I can't wait to hear it. I'm sorry, dude. You're gonna be really disappointed about like what I'm saying about it because like that, like when you said that to me, that got me more hyped, and I couldn't wait to watch this film and to review it on this podcast and give it high marks. It just was generic. I said it. That's it. It's generic.
Yeah, and look, we'll wrap this up, but we are in the minority here, and I really want to get someone. I really want to talk to somebody who really liked it, which is like everybody. But I want to know like what exactly did they like about it? Because did you really like it, or is just like the hype, and you kind of have to like it at this point? Like what was it that made you think this is the best film of the year? Because I don't see it, and look, I will watch this movie again because I do want to like see if maybe now that I've already kind of seen it, if maybe it, but I just don't think it was well written because it kind of like a lot of things didn't make a lot of sense. And I think even on a second watch, it's probably not going to happen, but I will give it another chance. So
Nah,
why don't we
you
wrap this one up?
you mentioned Heretic. Nosferatu really didn't meet its expectations. Look,
But nothing's been as
I
hyped up
don't
as this
care.
one. This is
Yeah,
like
like
one of the most
I
hyped up
don't
movies I've
care
heard about in a while.
about being in the minority of whether or not how I feel about this film. I think I'm a good film critic, and I think I understand enough about literature and cinema to really understand films. And I know we talk about horror films on this, but that's not who we are. You know,
Right.
we've been to film school, we've been film classes, things like that. Like we have a background,
Well, no film
and
school for me, but
I,
yeah.
I've taken film classes though and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we're not amateurs when it comes to like, reviewing and critiquing a film. So it's like I'm usually shocked when things are so far off of what like, say everyone is saying, like the majority is saying, and then I'm seeing something different. I just don't think I'm that far off. I think I know enough about film to pick up all these things. I just don't think this film had it. And I'm saying it. I just don't think it has it. I don't know what you're seeing, but I think you're getting probably caught up in the hype because it's like I'm not seeing it, you're not seeing it. I think we're pretty good film critics, you know?
Yeah, and speaking of like the hype, like I was like, and again, like a lot of people I work with are talking about this movie because like, I do work for like a film distribution service. And like I'm actually nervous to like say I don't like it because it's
Yeah,
one of those
yeah.
things where you
It's one
kind
of
of
those
have
things you
to.
can't
And I
say. I have
wonder
to
if
say
that's what
like it. Yeah.
everybody, yeah, I wonder if that's what
Yeah.
people are saying. It's like, well, everybody else likes it, so I must like it. And if not, I'm an idiot or like I don't pick up on it or I'm like not
It's
culturally relevant. But yeah, fuck it. I'll say it. I didn't like this movie. So like out of 0 to 5, what do you give this movie?
I just want to remind everyone back to season one, and I gave Hellraiser one bloody knife.
I remember that.
I just want everyone to know that's the type of critic that I am. I don't let things slide. I stand by my views and my conviction about what a good film is. I hate to do it, but I'm giving this 1.5
You know,
bloody knives, and I'm sorry. I wanted to give it more. I wanted to like this film. I think the acting is great. I think there's a lot of good things. It's just not my film.
yeah, like man, I struggle with it because like before coming in here, I was like, I'm gonna give this one a 2, and I
Mm,
don't know if I'm giving it like a 2, and not two's not a good rating, but because I don't want to hear people
average.
tell me
Yeah.
how this is like an amazing film and I'm an asshole for giving it a 1.5. But I'm gonna stick with the 2 because again, there are positives in this movie. It's not a bad movie. I think it is kind of a bad movie to be honest with you,
You're not gonna
but
watch it. You know,
parts of it,
you
parts
buying
of
it
it
on
are well
Blu-ray. You
done.
gotta watch this like every weekend. Like
No, but I probably will give it
exactly.
one more chance. I just wish it wasn't so fucking boring. I wish it was written better, and yeah, I wish it was better. So anyway, so what we do on this show is we play a little drinking game where we rate these movies, and how it works is the number of bloody knives I give a movie are the number of sips Jerry needs to take, and vice versa. So I'm about to take 1.5 sips, which is like not a big deal. I've been taking more than that as we've spoken, and Jerry's going to take 2. So let's cheers to that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, whatever. It
Yeah,
is what it
I'm
is,
I'm I'm
man.
taking these sips because I'm like nervous about saying this, but I don't know. Maybe I'll lose some fans because of my view of this film, but I'm not. I have to be honest, and this is why we're here. I'm not going to say what everyone wants me to say. I'm going to give my opinion, and if you're listening, then that's probably what you want to hear. If you disagree, hit us up. Tell us what we're missing. Send us a Blu-ray copy if you bought it, and tell me that you watch it every day and this is your favorite film and this is better. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this right now. Ready? Don't watch this movie. Watch Bliss instead.
Oh, fuck you. The bloodiest movie of all time, according
One
to
of the
Jerry.
bloodiest vampire films that you can watch. You want to watch some sick vampire film? Watch Bliss, because I mean, at least it was fun. At least you could get into it, and that was artistic, and there was a lot of elements to it. And I think they didn't shy away from the vampire parts, which this film did, which was, I wouldn't even say is secondary. I say it was tertiary to this film's motive of what kind of film it was. It wasn't a vampire film. It was a lot of things, but it wasn't.
Yeah, so the one thing, just getting back to my rating of 2, I think why I kind of went a little above the 1.5 is what I will say is it is the movie, other than like you said, the vampire kind of trope of the movie and there being nothing really original about the vampire. I do feel that this was an original story told in an original way, and I do give credit for that. I think I haven't seen a movie like this before. Other than again, like you said, the vampire stuff was very reminiscent of like 100 other vampire movies I've
Yeah.
seen. But the overall, if you look at the overall movie, I haven't seen this movie before, so I give them a little bit of credit.
Okay.
However, I
All
didn't
right,
find it
fair,
entertaining.
fair.
But anytime anyone makes something, especially you take a director like Ryan Coogler, who's like known for big franchise shit, for him to like make this movie and say, I'm gonna make a movie that's not IP, I think is like pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I liked a lot of his films. I think he's a great director, and I think the direction in this film was fantastic. I think the writing of this film and the plot of this film is where it failed.
yeah,
That's what I'm judging it on. I'm judging it on the
I
actual
agree. I agree. It didn't
entertainment
work.
of what I'm watching, not the direction was sick. I mean, the probably some of the best acting we're going to see in a horror film, not only this year but for years to come. Probably some of the best cinematography we're going to see in a horror film for years
But
to come. But it's just not a fun, it's not a good film to watch. It's just not.
yeah.
It just wasn't good to watch. I'm not going to watch it again. I don't care what happens. How about this? I will watch it again if I get 100 emails to horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com telling me to watch it again and tell me what I'm missing. Tell me the aspects that's not working for me. Tell me why it should work, and I'll rewatch it and we'll do this film again on the show.
So I'm gonna say something that's like probably also controversial, pretty much as controversial as us not liking Sinners. The other film that we picked tonight, Until Dawn, I liked a lot more than Sinners. I'm not gonna lie to you. We're gonna talk about this movie, like, and I am shocked. I actually loved this movie. I really liked it, and I'm embarrassed to say that I really loved this movie.
Listen,
And if I were to pick like the best horror movie I've seen this year that's new, this might be it so far.
this,
So
listen, I'm not gonna front right now. All right, this film was fucking awesome,
okay, cool. I
and
was wondering what you were gonna
you could
think. I
think we're
loved it.
two assholes. You could right now,
I watched it twice.
everyone is hitting stop on YouTube and Spotify right now because they think we're assholes. But you know what? No, we're fucking right because this film had so much to it and was so fun and so interesting, and it got a lot of things right, like the gore, the pacing, and things like that. And it was entertaining. And that's what makes a good film. So let's go ahead, give the plot, and we'll get into
Yeah,
it.
it's just before I give the plot, it's funny because like out of the two movies, I was really looking forward to watching Sinners. I
Exactly.
almost dreading watching
Watching
this
this.
one,
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
fucking loved it. All right, so
Yeah,
Until
I
Dawn
agree.
is the movie. Here's the plot. 1 year after a mysterious disappearance, I believe it's one of the people's sister, a group of friends set on a journey to uncover the truth behind some unsettling events that have occurred in a remote valley. Their search leads them to an abandoned visitor center where eerie remnants of past travelers suggest something sinister is lurking in the shadows. That group of friends, I believe there's five of them, soon find themselves trapped in a time loop
Mm.
where monsters chase and kill them in gruesome ways, and they all must survive until dawn to escape it. So basically, what happens is all five of them are trapped in this area. As they die, they wake up the next day, and if they have to survive till dawn to get away, and I believe as the kind of their deaths happen, so like by the third time they died, fourth time they die, they start gradually kind of turning into monsters, and I think they have until the 13th time to survive before they completely succumb to becoming. They call them Wendigos or Wendigos in the
Yeah, when to
movie,
go.
and
Yeah.
basically they're these cannibalistic monster humanoid kind of creatures, and that's kind of the plot of it. So it's almost like teen horror, except this is fucking R rated, and you get that very quickly
Oh
on. Like
yeah. Oh
this
yeah.
movie is fucking brutal, and one thing I love about it is not only is it brutal, there's a lot of great kills and gore. It's like all practical. It's not
It
CGI. It's like they did it, and it looked so good.
it was sick, and as crazy as that plot sounds to everyone who's listening to it right now, just put it in this lens. It's a video game. So you get more than one life in a video game. And it like looking at things through that lens, it really changes the way you feel about this film and kind of lets you get away with a lot more. And I think it totally worked for
Yeah,
this film. And a lot of remakes of video games doesn't work at all. Some of my favorite
they
video
never
games,
work. They
like
never
Doom
work.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, comes out lame. But this really really worked for me. And I'm going to tell you some of the things I liked about this, Rich. I think the atmosphere was fantastic
Agreed.
because they're basically driving through like this massive storm. And all of a sudden they come out and it's like encompassing them, but then they drive out of it suddenly. Now it's just surrounding them. Wow, what a
Yeah, just
great
a wall
feel.
of rain surrounding
Oh,
this
oh,
area.
now you know. Now you know. You automatically know something is happening here. And it's like, what do we do? Because there's rain there, there isn't rain here. Something different is happening here. They don't understand it. We don't understand it. Great way to start the film. I think the characters in this film, I like them a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you have like an all kind of Gen Z kind of cast, it could come out a little strange with like the dialogue and the acting. I think this cast really was fun. They felt like they were cast members of any slasher film almost. You have like some trope characters there, but not over the top. And I think that worked. And you're absolutely right, man. It was gory. That first kill. I think they sliced Abel in half
Yes.
by that creepy guy in the mask, and then you find out that there's multiple killers. And another guy gets like a stake through the eye. I mean, like this is gory stuff, and this is happening in the what 15, 20 minutes
Yeah, the
of the
movie doesn't
film.
start
Like,
slow. It gets
yeah,
right
it
into
goes right,
business.
it goes
Yeah.
right into it. I mean, it does hit you in that first scene where it's kind of reminiscent of like Evil Dead or House of a Thousand Corpse, where someone's like coming up through the ground, it's the kind of like below the surface, kind of like digging their way up. I'm like, the hell kind of film is this going to be? I also went into this film completely blind. I actually never played the video game before, so I didn't know what this was going to be about. And let me tell you, within 10 minutes, I'm like, I like it.
Yeah, and I'd never even heard of the video game, and apparently it's like a 10-year-old video game, and this movie is like not an adaptation, it's kind of like a prequel to the video game is what I read. I want to play this game now,
Yeah,
because it
totally.
seems super
Yeah.
cool. And like what it kind of reminded me of, it's like Cabin in the Woods
Yep.
meets like Happy Death Day, I think is the name of that movie,
Yeah, yeah,
meets
yeah.
like Evil Dead, and that's what it felt like to me.
First
And
Happy
like
Death Day is pretty good.
I actually never saw it, but I
Yeah,
would like
it's
to.
very watchable, very easy
Yeah.
to watch. Yeah, just
And
like
what's
this
great,
film, easy to watch.
easy to watch. And what's great about it, it's again like you have like it's like you have these five characters and you kind of like assume that they're gonna survive because it's like the type of movie. However, they get killed again and
And
again and
again
again.
and
So you
again.
get like all of that. And they get killed in different ways. There's like different types of monsters. There's like different things. Oh, the one thing that really sold this movie for me was like I liked it, I'm into it, and I don't know, maybe it's like 35 minutes in. They find out that if you drink the water, you
Oh
explode.
my God, that
And
was
that came out of nowhere. Like they're all in the bathroom, the guy's panicking, and then he explodes, and then someone else
yeah.
explodes, and then someone else explodes. It was
You
so fucking cool. It
you,
was awesome.
you want to take this film from this level to this level, you have some people drinking water and just like combusting and exploding in front of each other. I mean, that was the only thing they could have did to make this film better, and they did it. They knew exactly what we wanted, and they gave it to us because I'm like this gore. It's crazy. It's over the top. Where do they go from here? I'll tell you how they go from the people exploding at any moment. I mean, it was crazy. And again, I thought like being that this was kind of adaptation from a video game, I thought it was gonna be like one of those like mind bending
Hmm.
kind of horror films. I wasn't really quite sure where it's gonna go. I don't. It kind of is. There are mystery elements to it. They are trying to solve some sort of mystery, but there is also a lot of slasher elements to it. I mean, there's a lot to it, and you said it. Like a lot of the characters, they keep dying in different ways. I really thought it would get, kind of like repetitive. and I was gonna get bored of it, but the way they do it, it just keeps you like on the edge of your seat, and you don't know what's gonna happen, and you really don't know who's going to die, and you don't know how they're gonna die, and they do make it interesting every single time. And one of my favorite parts is when they kind of went back and they didn't realize all that missing time,
Mm,
and they start watching like the footage,
yeah.
and you're like, what the fuck? All that shit happened? Like that was some crazy shit that was going on, and the guy's filming it. The guy filmed it with his phone, was smart enough to like film it with his phone, and you're like, damn, this is a movie in itself right there. All the shit that this guy filmed is another version of this film because there was a ton happening in probably like a 2 minute clip of watching someone's like phone screen. And I was like, man, I'm like, they are checking a lot of boxes for me, you know?
So there are definitely a lot of kills in this movie. And for three sips over under 18 kills.
Kills over under. Let's say 18. How many characters? I'm gonna say under.
19.
Ah, I'll take the
And
three
that's
sips.
including the guy at the end, the
Mm,
Dr. Hill getting
mm.
who also gets it in a very amazing way. So, which 19 kills for a fucking new
Oh
movie
yeah. I
is a
mean,
lot of kills.
19. I didn't. I would have guessed 12
Yeah, I
personally.
didn't picture
So
there was that
yeah,
many, and they're counting the quick ones that happen in like that video, that 3 minute video
yeah,
sequence that
yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about. So it's funny, like I read a bunch of reviews, just kind of like trying to see what other people thought, and obvious, people didn't like it as much as we did, the critics. And one of the things,
Of
yeah,
course, they were
it's
watching
not for them,
Sinners.
it's not for
Yeah.
critics. And I think one of the things that they were saying is if you're not familiar with the video game, it is a little confusing because you're trying to understand what the rules are, and like
Hmm.
and it is hard to kind of like follow. However, I kind of like that about the movie because number one, you said this earlier, you don't know what's going to happen
Yeah,
next. And number two, the people involved don't know the rules either. So they're kind of like learning, like they're just
they're
like,
learning it
wait,
with us.
how many
Yeah.
times can we die? Like what happens? So like they're figuring out all of this stuff and like there's no clues anywhere. Like there's nothing written down that like after you die 13 times, like this happens. So they're all trying to figure it out too. And I kind of liked you felt like you're in there with them. So I kind of liked not knowing like all of the like and weird shit happens like all of a sudden someone's possessed and this happens and it's like it doesn't make a ton of sense, but I don't think it needs to. Like they're in this fucking fucked up alternate dimension in a way. I know it's not that, but like where all this bizarre shit is happening in this one area, and I kind of like that. I kind of just let go and just it's a fun movie. It's like you said, it's atmospheric, it's creepy where it needs to be, it's bloody where it needs to be, it's like funny where it needs to be. And by funny, there's this one thing that pops into my head. There's a scene where Clover, who's the main
Yeah.
female protagonist, she's trapped in her leg is caught in a bear trap.
Oh yeah.
And her, I wouldn't say love interest, but a guy that's kind of obsessed with her, I believe his name is Max, tries to open the bear trap and he's kind of got it open. And then a monster shows up and he panics and closes it
So
and it snaps shut right in her leg. It's like, oh shit. Like I was fucking, I was
loved it. I was
a
laughing. I
rewind
was
for me.
laughing.
I
Yeah.
cracked up at that. I thought that was so funny that like this idiot, because he's kind of like a fucking goofus. Like, he's trying to save the day and this completely made it worse. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, no, it felt like, dude, I felt like we were playing like Doom in my bedroom at like 3 o'clock in the morning, or it's like you have your life and we're trying to get through like this level and you don't know what's gonna happen next. We don't know the rules yet of that level. I die because I didn't know it. I passed the remote to you. Now you're going through it. You have a little bit more knowledge than I had, because you got to a certain point and then you have to figure out like what's next. And that really played well with this film, kind of just tapping into like that video game mind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, but that's the excitement of playing the game, is not knowing what's up ahead and what the rules are yet, because you have to die essentially to learn the rules. And that's really what happened in this film. They had to die and then figure out like, okay, we got this far, what do we have to do different next time to get this far? And I just thought it was great. And again, talking about that bear trap, again, that's It's an annoying trope to me because there's like this 12-inch bear trap in the middle of the woods and someone steps in it. And I'm like, you could step anywhere on earth. Why would you step in a bear trap? But I
But
think when they get it off
yeah,
her and then they kind of use like that saw kind of like kill and they threw it on Melanie's face and she gets the bear trap to the face. I thought that I'm like, all right, this is fucking sick. I'm like, that's sick.
yeah, you know what? Like I suspended like the trope just because I was like, you know what? It's like a video game, so like they
It
set that
is.
there for her to
They
step
set it
on
there
it.
for you to
Like
step in
everything's
it. Yeah, you're
planned.
right.
Like
You're right. You're right. You
um,
know,
but I get what you're saying.
I'm like,
I
oh,
think
I was like, why'd you step on that? Just step anywhere.
you know what I love too, and I really got this on the second watch because I did watch it twice. At the very like last 20 minutes or so
Mhm.
is kind of like action packed where they're all just trying to survive and they're all like, fuck it, this is our last life. We gotta fight to the death. And it's like, even though again you do kind of feel that they're all gonna survive, like you kind of get that, it still felt like danger.
Anxious.
And
Yeah,
you
it
know,
felt
yeah, and you know, like
anxious.
when you have these movies where you're like, okay, I know they're all gonna live, so you don't really get that. I felt like they did a good job of keeping it like tense and fast paced for that final like sequence of the movie where they're all trying to get and they're fighting all these various different monsters. I thought they did a really good job of that. And there's one scene where there's this giant monster in a mask, and he's got this huge sledgehammer, and
Yeah.
they knock him on the ground, and it takes all three of them to raise the sledgehammer to
Hell yeah.
smash it on this
That
guy's face,
was
and his face turns to like
that was
fucking cabbage. It's just boom.
perfect.
But I love how
Perfect.
it was all three of them need to
Perfect.
do it. Like that
Hell
was
yeah.
that heavy.
I mean,
I
it's
thought
like
that was so
that
badass.
co-op gaming right
Yeah.
there, man. Just get everyone online and help you defeat the boss, the boss level. Love that. And I totally have a note about, that last kind of like few sequences. It just felt like very, again, game-like at the end. It was like a chase scene. It was very tense and you didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't feel that everyone was going to survive. I didn't know who would make it, who wouldn't make it, because there were so many twists and turns in this film that I was like, I don't know, maybe one person makes it, maybe all of them make it. I really didn't know. But what I did know is I did feel like that anxiety while I was watching it. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, who's gonna get out of here? And there'd be, and the killers and the monsters and everything. It was, again, it was clever. It was different. I haven't really seen a film like this before.
No, no, I have not.
I know we said that about Sinners, but like I haven't seen this film before, and this was just somehow a lot more enjoyable, just I guess based on like the pacing and the action and the excitement of it. And it felt like a horror film from like the first second you put it on to the second it turns off. And I'm gonna watch it again. 100% I'm gonna watch it again. I'm probably gonna watch it five more times. This was an awesome film for me, I think.
Yeah, and it's like an hour and like 42 minutes or so, which
It's a
is
little
kind of
long. A little
long, but
long,
it
yeah, a
didn't
little
feel
bit.
that way to me.
No,
And like this is yeah, like it's in my rotation. Like I'm gonna watch this movie a ton of times. I like fucking loved it. And it's funny because it kind of came and went. Like if we didn't do this podcast and weren't looking for shit to watch, I never even would have heard of
I
this
never
movie.
even
Because
heard about it. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about the game. Like the movie, like it was in theaters, but like no one really saw it. Like I don't think, and no one really cared to talk about it at least. And I think this is like a missed opportunity. I think you know what it is. If you if you're a fan of the game, maybe you don't like it because it's like maybe it's not exactly true to the game. I don't know. I never played the game. But if you're not a fan of the game, you kind of think like, oh, why am I going to watch this video game movie? I never heard of this game. I went in just not even thinking about the game, just like let's watch this movie, and yeah, I loved it, man. It's like I did not expect to. I was dreading it, but it checks all the boxes for me.
I mean the time loop, the the killers, like there's so many layers to this film. It feels like you're a part of a puzzle. It feels like you're watching a slasher. It's really really interesting. I think if we get into the cinematography, this was probably fairly low budget, but I thought the set pieces were amazing and so detailed, and like you really felt like you were there with them and looking at all these little details, and you don't know what's important and you don't know what's not important, and you're trying to like solve the puzzle with them, like an escape room almost. And it felt like that, like, wow, I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And it was meta. It was very meta as well. Like they talk about things like horror movies and possessions and things
Yeah.
like that. You're like, oh shit,
It's very
because
tongue in cheek.
yeah, because you like that, because it's like all this weird shit's happening. You don't acknowledge that this is something that you might see in like a horror film, but they do acknowledge it. And to me, I like when things like that happen, and I kind of hate when they don't acknowledge it, because we have to assume if there's a TV in existence that somebody watched a horror film and be like, this feels a little like, Friday the 13th or something like that. And I'm glad that they acknowledge that. Again, a lot of cool things I liked about it. There was some sort of
Yeah, just
weird.
to stop you right there. So there's like
Okay.
one line somebody says where she's like, "It's just like that one movie," and the one guy's like, "It's actually like 10 movies," but like let's like just kind of jumping on what you just said
Exactly.
there.
A little bit
Yeah.
of sleepaway camp, Friday the 13th, a little bit of everything. What I did like, and I was hoping there'd be a lot more of it, is when they ran back out into the rain. And I love that, because again, it just pulls that atmosphere right in. It takes you to a different place. There was like this weird, creepy giant troll
Mm.
thing out there, and they only showed it for like a couple seconds, and it didn't really do anything, but they were just like, this is not the way we need to go. But I was like, damn, man, I want to see what happens with that troll. And again, that makes it feel like that cabin in the woods kind of feel, where you're
Hmm.
like, they kind of set up a few different things, and you're like, well, which one are they going to go with? Which monster is it going to be? Which one are we going to learn about? And you don't really know. And I feel like they did that here as well, where you were introduced to a lot of different things and you weren't quite sure which one they were going to latch on to and continue with. I did like the choices they made, but I really like that giant troll, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of those things where again there's like a really cool kind of monster and you see it like briefly or it's just in
Mhm.
one of the sequences. And I think again they're just if these people are gonna die 12 plus times, they need to show like 12 different kind of ways of
Yeah.
that happening and it has to all be in a quick time period. So I could see someone's complaint being like, well, there was like it was cool but it wasn't in the movie enough. But like you said, they were just kind of throwing a lot of different stuff out there and like you didn't know where it was going to go. So I kind of like that, like, and I forgot about that giant troll because you just see it for like 30 seconds, but
Couple
it's
couple
fucking
seconds. Yeah.
scary. But you also, even though you never really see it again, you know it's out there.
Yeah.
So like at least they like introduce these things and it just makes you show how big this world is. Like there's all kinds of shit that like even that they haven't even seen that like might happen to like the next people that
The
show up
next
here.
people. And
Yeah.
again, I kind of like, and I hope this isn't like a Cabin in the Woods. If there's any film on earth that should have had a sequel and turned to a franchise, it probably was Cabin in the Woods. I think the way they left this, there is the opportunity for a sequel. I hope they do it. I
Yeah, they
really do.
won't though, just because
I,
it kind of
I,
bombed.
I
Yeah, I
really,
doubt it.
but
I
what was
wish
the
they would.
budget? What was the budget of this film?
Yeah,
Like we
yeah,
we
good point.
watched a 90 million dollar film
Let me look it
that
up.
bombed to us. And now we're watching a film that was probably $2 million, maybe $3 million. And big director, David Sandberg, did Annabelle, which I'm sure had a fairly large budget, and did Lights Out, which was like one of those kind of made for movies horror films.
Hmm.
So those are like those, like I would say $5 to $10 million movies. So, but no matter what it did, I feel like it had to like at least profit.
Okay, so you're right there. So the budget was 15 million, and
Okay.
that's not including P&A, which is probably like, almost double. But
Mm.
it made 50 million worldwide. So it
So I
was a
hope, I hope, I
success.
hope, I hope I hope they do another one.
Yeah, it
I
was a
really,
success.
I
So
really,
what they
I
say
really do.
is close to break even. That's what they said on the movie. Because again, you
Oh,
do need to make because if you think about it, made 50 million, they probably get half of that. and then they probably spent more. So
Okay, it's going to go to
it's pretty close.
streaming. It's going to
Yeah,
come out on,
it might have life. It might have life in like later
it,
on, like Windows
yeah,
and stuff like that.
next
But it wasn't
year.
a failure. It wasn't a
Yeah.
failure. So that's good.
Listen, everyone's going to be streaming this next year once it hits like, Prime and Peacock and all
Yeah, but they don't
those
have to pay for it
streaming
and they can watch it
sites.
for free. Yeah.
Definitely going to hit up there. And like when they release the Blu-ray and all that stuff, I think there's going to be people latching onto this. I think it will end up being successful. And I really hope that they do make another film at least. It doesn't have to be 15 million, it could be 5 million. And I think it could be just as good as this film was. It was just good. It was fun. It's just crazy that I did watch them in that order. I did watch Sinners, and then I think a day or two later I did watch this. Probably because I was excited to watch Sinners and I didn't want to watch this.
Yeah.
And I had the same exact reaction you did. I was excited about this and let down by Sinners. I thought this was a great film. I did know a little bit about David Sandberg because we just talked about him for Annabelle. So like, as soon as I saw the name, I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. Someone at work told me that there was some horror film coming out about a video game. They didn't know the name of it. And I was like, I don't think you know what you're talking about. But then all of a sudden this pops up. I'm like, oh, this is what they were talking about. And I'm like, this almost went by. We wouldn't have watched this. And again, I'm recommending this film. I
Yeah.
don't know
If it
how
wasn't for the show, I never would
yeah,
have watched
I
this
don't
movie.
I don't know
And
how many more details we need to give about.
no,
I'm recommending it. Like
yeah.
I'm putting it out there. This was a good film.
Yeah, we could definitely wrap it up. And I actually watched this before Sinners because I wanted to get
Oh.
out of the way. I was like, let me just watch this movie. I'll just get it done, and then I can actually sit and really enjoy Sinners. And again, I've watched it twice in the past week. So yeah, let's wrap it up. So what do you rate this one? Scale of 0 to 5.
Man, I like this a lot. I'm just trying to determine how much I liked it. And I don't write down like my rating. I let this conversation also kind of add into like factor into like my rating because I'm like, maybe Rich is going to say something that sways me in in one direction or the other, but definitely kind of echoed a lot of the things I felt about this film. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going to do this. This is a good fucking film. 4.5.
Nice, nice. You know what? It's
I
funny.
can't
Like,
believe it.
no,
I
I'm
can't.
gonna go. I'm gonna give it a 4, actually.
Nice.
Um, but again, it is probably one of the best movies I've seen of the year, and I probably will watch it over and over again. So yeah, I give it a 4. It could easily be a 4.5, but I'm feeling 4 right now. Yeah, this movie's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. Again, look, it's a fun, gory, creepy. I don't know if it's necessarily scary, but it's well done, and yeah, I definitely highly recommend Until Dawn. So all right, so you're gonna drink 4, I'm gonna drink 4.5. Let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
Let's just finish my drink. Just a little bit left for the final cheers of the night.
Wow.
S-
No, I just want to say, when you want to watch a horror film, this is the type of film you want to watch.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like this is it. This is it. Like Saturday night, you want to sit there and you like, what am I gonna watch tonight? This is the type of film you want to watch. I'm sorry, it's not Sinners. This is exactly what you want to watch. Me as a horror fan, this is what I want to see. I want to have fun. I want to be excitement. I want to not know what's happening. I want to be like, oh, that's fucking disgusting. And then I want to be like, oh, that's cool. Like I want to go through all the emotions. And I think this film checks it off. And a lot of people probably think this is probably gonna be like kind of like cheesy and kind of lame, but I mean, not me, man. I liked it a lot.
so funny how that went. Sinners, we both hated. This, we both loved. But yet, look, it's like you said, that this is more of a movie, I think, for horror fans.
Mhm.
And the other one, I'm not really sure who that's a movie for. So, yeah. So, all right, that's awesome. You could follow us on Instagram at horrorheads or email us horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. So next episode, we're going to be talking about Final Destination, and I'm super excited to watch the new one. I've rewatched
Oh,
1 through 5. I
damn.
think. Yeah,
You're prepping. You're
I've
prepping.
been rewatching. I've got some notes, and can't wait to kind of get into that. I realized. So here's the thing: I never realized I like those movies, and now I'm kind of like I'm into it. I like them.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
into it.
it's a vibe,
It's a
and
vibe.
I'm gonna shock the world right now. I'm actually going to see it in the theaters tomorrow.
Oh, oh, I'm
So
kind of nervous for you because you usually don't
it's
have good experiences.
it's definitely happened. I'm going with Melissa Rose, our guest
Oh,
from
nice.
last episode, so she'll make sure that I'm gonna be there. So it should be a good time, and I'm hoping to come out with a good feeling from it. I'll watch it again on digital when it comes out, just so I could take my notes because I'm not gonna bring a pen to the movie theater. I like to be in the moment, so I'm just hoping my initial reaction is a good one, and I want to watch it again. But yeah, I watched. I guess it was supposed to be the final one, and I don't think I've ever saw it. I caught like an hour of it the other day. I'm like, what have I been doing all this time? I haven't been watching these films. So I'm looking forward to our next episode and to kind of dive into these films. And I guess we were talking about the original and the newest one, right?
Yeah, we're gonna start with the original and the newest one. I'm sure we'll sprinkle some things in from the other ones since I just
Awesome.
recently watched them. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So, all right, everybody, cheers. Have a good night till then. Good luck with the movie tomorrow.